All right, welcome to one more episode of the OpenTofu office hours. Today is the fourth one, I recall. It's November 21st. There's lots of new stuff to talk about, as well as a whole roadmap of events that we'll be going to. So lots of places for folks that are interested in the community to meet with the core staff. So, but before we go through that, as usual, let's do the weekly updates. And as usual, if you're catching this on YouTube or not live, this is the calendar link where you can subscribe and just know when the next office hours will be. And let's get started. Kuba, you want to go for the weekly update?
Sure. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So first, let's take a look at previous week's weekly update. So we'll quickly go basically over the last 2 weeks. Regarding the previous weekly update, I suppose the most important news is the timeline. So we have right now a timeline for when we expect a full general availability release to be out that you can actually use in production. In practice, the most optimistic version is mid of December for the stable release, while the more realistic version possibly is mid of January. In practice, the stable GA release will be preceded by release candidate. And prior to the release candidate, we expect a beta release. The meaning of those basically being the beta release will be released whenever the new stable registry is in an end-to-end working but not yet fully stable state.
Mm-hmm.
While the release candidate will in practice be something that should be on the same level of stability as the stable release, but will really just be a place for it to sit frozen for a little while for everybody to make sure that, yes, this is actually release worthy, we haven't missed anything, basically a code freeze prior to actually releasing it to everybody. In practice, a lot of work has been going on over the last 2 weeks on the registry. The homebrew-like design has been accepted by the steering committee a couple of weeks ago. This was followed by multiple more detailed design documents covering various aspects of this registry to get everybody on the same page to discuss the specific approaches. There's been some discussions on what and where to use for various parts of that homebrew registry. Those all things are now also decided. And work has been happening to implement it. It's mostly working end to end right now. And the next steps are basically hydration of the registry. Those 2 weeks ago, one more cool thing is that we started exposing Yum and apt packages over Package Cloud, sponsored by BuildKite. So thanks to them for that. And there are now installation instructions for those platforms that are much easier than just downloading a binary and putting it in the right place. There's also been a bunch of bug fixes for the S3 state backend, which, reminder, was heavily updated to be more in line with the new AWS provider, to be updated to the new Go AWS SDK and the config options available inside of it. Then this week, we had a lot of documentation improvements. First of all, installation documentation is now much improved, and there's a detailed page for each of the platforms. And then we're also currently working on the testing feature documentation. So the testing feature that lets you write, in a sense, integration tests, assertions for your OpenTofu modules. Those now will have their pages in the documentation, so you know exactly how to use them, when to use them, and examples how to use them in practice. Other than that, regarding the stable registry implementation, maybe a quick reminder regarding the architecture of that. We are storing all the details of all providers and modules in a GitHub repository, so it's very easy for people to submit new providers and modules. There are recurring jobs running to scrape the most up-to-date versions for those providers and modules. So all the metadata is there from the sources in GitHub, from GitHub releases, from GitHub tags. And then after every change, this is rendered to a Cloudflare R2 bucket. Again, thank you to Cloudflare for the sponsorship here as well. To an R2 bucket that will basically have a domain name attached and just serve all those static files, because we will render static files according to the registry protocol to be fully statically served, which will basically let us achieve very high availability with a very low cost and low maintenance effort required. And I believe that is actually, oh, and also a very important thing, Janos has joined the core team. Janos is here with us. Welcome, Janos. So now we have 3 people.
Janos, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
So thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here. So my name is Janos. I'm the creator of Container SSH. It's a CNCF sandbox project by now. I previously worked for Red Hat, and together with my wife, we started making games a while ago. It's still an ongoing process. And then I saw OpenTofu happening, and since I did a lot of Terraform-inspired work at Red Hat, that's why I thought this might be a good thing to do. So I'm very excited to be here.
Awesome. Welcome.
Welcome. All right. And that's really it for the update. Next steps, getting the registry to a stable state. In an ideal scenario, we hope to have a beta released next week already. In practice, probably in 2 weeks. Will depend on how long the hydration process takes us for the stable registry. Over to you, Sebastian.
All right. I'm going to grab the screen over from you. There we go. All right. So the next couple of months are going to be super fun. Lots of traveling involved. So just in like 2 weeks or something, there's the Linux Foundation has another event. So this one's in Tokyo, OSS Tokyo. And so a few of us will be there. If you are in Japan or in Tokyo by any chance, hit us up and let's hang out. After that, there's FOSDEM in Brussels, followed immediately by State. It's going to be really busy early February, followed by State of OpenCon in London. So if you're in Northern Europe, I guess you'll have plenty of options. And then a whole month later, we actually have an OpenTofu track at KubeCon. And so the program chairs are putting together a whole bunch of cool talks for everyone moving away from Terraform. And so we'll more on that in the next couple office hours.
Slight correction. It's not an OpenTofu track on KubeCon. It's a one-day conference organized side by side next to KubeCon, which is called OpenTofu Day.
Yep.
It's actually a slightly different thing.
Yep. Thanks for the correction. And so I guess there seems to be nothing in North America yet. I'm guessing that's going to be over the summer. But that's a lot of opportunities to hang out and meet the community. And if you want more details on any of these, just Google for them, or on Slack, ask, and we can help out. As usual, here's the best. This is the guide of the best place for how to contribute. Although they're also in the weekly updates. And with that, if there are any questions, we are open to answering them. And questions kind of have to be OpenTofu related. If no questions, then I think that concludes the office hours. And we are, as usual, always on Slack, pretty much 24/7. And so if there's anybody that has any questions there, then we are more than happy to answer them as those questions come up. And if nothing else, then I will be uploading this to YouTube.